Thank you very much. And I would first like to extend a very heartfelt thank you to our generous and gracious Korean hosts for all they have done to make this what is clearly becoming a very successful Congress. And also for all the efforts of the partners in this panel, particularly MidPan, the Korean National Park Services, and the Global Marine Program as well. So thank you so much. This is really for me, this is why we have meetings, obviously, because I get to hear about the Yellow Sea, and we bring the Yellow Sea and the Mediterranean together under a common roof. These are two very different regions, but we are experiencing, obviously, very common problems and challenges. I'm going to talk about the Mediterranean Sea, but from a little different perspective, because I'm a lawyer. And so I'm going to give more of a legal perspective on governance issues for marine protected areas, and in this case, the Mediterranean Sea. So I thank very much Puri for giving me a very good introduction to my presentation. So first, it's important to place this from a legal perspective within the legal framework. And of course, in this case, I'm looking at international and regional legal framework. Not only is it necessary, really, for protection of the marine environment to be establishing marine protected areas, but it's actually a legal commitment that we have made many times over. And it begins with, for example, the 1982 Law of the Sea Convention, where I think there's maybe now over 190 countries ratified it. And the 82 Convention clearly states that all states have an obligation to protect the marine environment. That includes vulnerable, rare, and fragile ecosystems, and that's really what marine protected areas afford, these fragile ecosystems. Now, in regional seas, we have a challenge because we are sharing a common space, and we have a common interest. So again, cooperation is very key. And under international law, we do have a duty to cooperate. So there's also the Convention for Biological Diversity, where the parties took a decision for marine protected areas. Unfortunately, we don't meet our targets, and so in 2010, the IKE target for marine protected areas was set at 10%. And there are other conventions as well. The World Heritage Convention we tend to forget about, but it's another international convention which actually gives an opportunity to designate protected areas for marine areas of world importance, universal importance. The regional level, the European Union has a legal framework. One thing I want to talk about in relation to the Mediterranean, of course, is that in 2009, the EU adopted a specific strategy for the Mediterranean, and that had to do with how to improve governance of the Mediterranean. And one of the issues which I'm going to talk about is how we can protect a marine area that has political and legal challenges. And I think it's interesting too, listening to the Yellow Sea, particularly with the neighborhood issues. Anyway, I want to go ahead because getting to the Mediterranean Sea, what is the challenge? Well, I have here it's 21 states. This is a sea that is actually very limited in space. We're 21 countries, but there's not enough space for each country to fully extend their maritime zones to what would be allowed under international law. So each of these 21 countries were to establish the 200 nautical mile exclusive economic zones. They would most of them would be overlapping each other. So consequently, we have a very sensitive issue, and I think some of this region is also quite sensitive to maritime jurisdiction delimitation. But then the challenge is we also share the common problem of degradation of our marine environment. So So how are we going to overcome this jurisdictional complexity? How will we overcome the problem with different types of maritime zones? We have in the Mediterranean fishery zones, ecological zones, exclusive economic zones. But what happens is that as a result, there's what we call maybe artificial high seas in the Mediterranean. And the problem with high seas under international law is that no coastal state has jurisdiction over this area. And this is important for purposes of both regulation and enforcement. So these are some of the challenges. Now, the legal framework for the protection of the Mediterranean Sea is based on a regional seas framework established under the United Nations Environmental Program, Regional Seas Program. I'm not going to read all of that, but what's important is that under our regional framework in the Mediterranean, we have a protocol for specially protected areas. In short, we call it SPAN. And what's important about this protocol is that recognizing this jurisdictional problem we have in the Mediterranean where we cannot delimit so that no coastal state has jurisdiction over a vast area that is high seas, it allows the opportunity for Mediterranean states to agree to designate marine protected areas in transboundary zones and in areas that constitute high seas. Now, as already was mentioned previously, one of these is the Pelagos Sanctuary for Mediterranean marine mammals, and it was established between France, Italy, and Corsica, and it is the only right now high seas marine protected area. The problem, though, legally, is that how do you enforce it against those countries that are not party to the Mediterranean Sea Convention? That means third-party states. And this is the problem we have in high seas issues. That's an issue that I could talk more about, but I'm not going to. But again, this is something that we have to deal with. Now, again, the development of the Mediterranean Sea Marine Protected Area, a lot is going on in the Mediterranean, really. I think that a great deal of effort has been put on this, particularly in recent years. And one important part of the Mediterranean Sea regional framework, under the protocol that I talked about, the SPAN protocol, we have a regional center for especially protected areas that's located in Tunisia. And it's very important because this regional center, activity center, provides support to the Mediterranean states in helping them designate marine protected areas. And they have been working now on particularly the issue of marine protected areas beyond national jurisdiction, because clearly this is an area which requires a great deal of regional cooperation. Cooperation is truly difficult when we are talking about contested jurisdiction, because this is a very politically sensitive issue. Recent meetings were 2010 and 2011. And the IUCN has been involved in these through the Mediterranean Malaga Center for Cooperation that was mentioned earlier, as well as the Commission on Environmental Law. And I'm going to talk a little bit more about this. You saw some of these maps. Now, part of this project that has been undertaken in the Mediterranean is to get countries to agree in establishing what would hopefully be actually a network of marine protected areas that would include areas that are transboundary or in the high seas. And again, easier said than done, because it's again very politically sensitive, and so cooperation really takes extra effort. But these so far, through the activities of Rockstar, are some of the areas that have been proposed and they will be working on. I also know there's the Alboran Sea Project for a marine protected area between Spain and Morocco. So we're starting to see some action, and this is taking some time. Now, it's important, and what we really, it's this whole issue of cooperation. And so how do we get states to cooperate when their interests at some level are common, but at another level, particularly we're talking maritime jurisdiction, really are contradictory? So the IUCN has been very active in this, and we've held a number of meetings. Francois Simard, who will be moderating, has been really very key in this, through first at the Mediterranean Malaga Cooperative Center, and then the Global Marine Program as well. So through a series of meetings, what the IUCN, in partnership with other groups as well, has brought together legal experts, scientists, government officials, NGOs, policymakers, really all the stakeholders, people who would be influential in trying to resolve, somehow or another, find some kind of resolution to overcoming this jurisdictional issue so that a truly representative ecological network of marine protected areas can be established in the Mediterranean. So they have met on a number of times. The first one was in Malaga, and the last one was in Italy. And several publications have come out. These meetings were successful and in fact influenced the European Union as well. When they adopted the strategy that I recently mentioned, it was very much influenced by the work that the IUCN had been doing. And I'm going to be wrapping up now, actually. So, well, the title of this panel, of course, is about positive experience. We have not yet reached the conclusion of establishing this network of marine protected areas. But I would say that it is a positive progression, because now in the Mediterranean, we are actually seriously sitting down. I mean, the fact that they've designated through the rock spot the map I showed you is a significant development. The work of the IUCN and creating a dialogue and the cooperative atmosphere has been very significant. But I think now we're at the point we have to discuss, okay, now what? The future. And that's why the Antalya meeting will be very important. Coming from Turkey, I also am very happy to invite all of you to Antalya as well. And hopefully, by the next Congress, we can actually speak of marine protected areas in the Mediterranean that have been designated and are properly being managed. So, thank you very much.
리더가 C가 말씀하던 리걸 이슈를 말씀해 주신 일부터 오라 다시 한번 감사드립니다. 그러면은 지금까지 세 분의 그 발표를 들었고요. 곧이어서 이제 패널 디스커션으로 들어가도록 하겠습니다. 패널 디스커션을 제가 앞서 가지고